What is up, guys? So normally on this channel we look at the top tier kind of stuff, right? Well, today, instead of bursting through the front door with our overpowered picks, we're going to be taking a trip around to the back door with some uncommon off-meta builds and picks that are fun but still really strong. This is another video with the folks over at Pro Guides. You can check out their guides and genius feature, which lets you ask questions to a high-elo player 24 hours a day. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the first one. So Jarvan isn't necessarily off-meta, but he's definitely not common, and I guess kind of actually the build is a bit more off meta, especially the full AD one-shot Jarvan. So we're seeing a lot of this Ghost Blade and Black Cleaver combo recently, right? And Jarvan abuses this as well for a ton of armor pen and AD to make his abilities really hurt. When you actually hit someone with your Q, your spear, it also reduces their armor. So if you EQ combo them, you auto and your auto and ultimate will be doing a ton more damage. If we actually get a death stance and then a more after these two, it kind of makes him really hard to kill with a ton of lifesteal. A shield and your one-shot combo actually heals you with your death stance. You can play this style mid or top, honestly. Both are really good, both are really annoying. Mid lane is good for the actual one-shot because obviously you're against a lot of low health mages and less health means easier one-shot. The thing that makes this so much fun though right now is how your ultimate works. 150% bonus AD ratio plus 450 damage at rank 3 to everyone in it. Remember that they changed it a few patches ago to be AoE damage, so not only is this a one-shot build, this is a team one-shot if you catch everyone in it. So a slightly more like well-rounded build, I guess we could say, would be taking him top, getting a Titanic Hydra, Black Cleaver, and then more Austerix, and then a Deadman's. This makes you very tanky, but you can also do a crap ton of damage and still probably actually one-shot the enemy AD late game. It's pretty depressing. The second one is a support that, even though it's a bit weird, not very common, I really hate playing against this. I'm going to try and contain my salt when talking about him. Maokai is like the definition of a low-income tank. You don't really need much gold to make him do his job, and it's so frustrating. You have sustain with your passive, right? You gain stacks when nearby champions use an ability. The good thing about having him bot lane with 4 people in the lane means it stacks faster. Your Twisted Advance, your W, actually does 9% of their maximum health rank 1 and locks them in place. It's a pretty crap ratio, but that doesn't matter because your base damage seriously hurts. It's not just your W that has good base damage either, like pretty much everything does. Your Q, for example, has 250 damage rank 5. That's like 20% of an AD's health, maybe even more. It isn't just the damage, right? There's two other big things. So your W lockdown is targeted. That means you cannot dodge it or flash it, and it's perfect for locking down AD carries and keeping them in place. This is really hard to play around to avoid. You kind of just have to hope that Maokai uses it on someone else, and it's perfect for setting up kills or ganks. Your ultimate is another really big thing. It actually reduces 20% of the damage dealt to himself and all allies in it. It soars double that damage and then explodes. So basically it protects your whole team and does damage. You definitely don't need items to be useful on Maokai. You can always lock people down. You can always ultimate to protect your team as well. If you pair him up with someone like a Lucian, a Misfortune, an Ezreal, or even a Draven, they are completely screwed. Maokai can flash root, do some damage, and let the AD follow up so easily. There's honestly so little you can do being an AD playing against Maokai. It's strange, but it's a really decent kill lane and a support tank. So Kennen got a few tweaks in the Mage update, right? The main thing was his ultimate now just does more damage in general because it can tick on the same person more now. Makes it better in team fights and in a 1v1 situation, really. There is a ton of damage packed into this little ninja, and if you have been playing League for a few years, you're going to know what it was like when he was popular and you'd ultimate, you'd flash in, and immediately all 5 of the enemy team would just flash backwards away. I honestly think it's hilarious. Like, it's really funny forcing 5 flashes with 1 ultimate. It's definitely a sight to see. Anyway, the fun part actually with this build is the new Proto Belt. This is the Hextech item that makes you dash forward and sends a bunch of rockets out. We don't really care about the damage or the rockets. The awesome thing is that we can Ian, right? We flash and then we Proto Belt to dash into the middle of everyone. It's ridiculous, okay? We have like 3 gap closers with this build, and we have their pants around the ankles before they even know what's happening. This is a lot of fun to try out. It's actually a legit build, by the way. Like, it genuinely works. It has a good win rate as well, but there's still so little counterplay except flashing away, and if they don't have that, then they are so boned. Apart from the Proto Belt cheese part, like, why it actually works, Abyssal reduces everyone's magic resist around him. That is perfect for his ultimate. Zhonya's lets him ult while being invulnerable, so he's gonna do a load of damage and you can't do anything. Rylai slows them so they can't run out of it, and like, as far as items go after the update, I think Kennen did pretty well. Now, Evelynn is a champion that I think is actually not as bad as people think. There are some really good aspects to her, but the off-meta build here is an AP or AD one-shot build. build. The legit build right now is actually to go some damage and then into tank. It means you can be a threat, like you can gank a lot early, right? But then you're able to absorb damage and team fight well later on. Now that's nice and everything, but that's not very fun, let's be honest. So let's spice it up a little bit. The first thing about either of these builds is that Eve is so annoying because unless you're actually visible in a lane, you could be anywhere. Like they have no idea where you are, and it's the threat of being ganked that can make someone play like a pussy. Anyway, our balls are big enough to ignore having flash, so we'll grab Smite and Ignite, and that's some more kill potential. And there's two different builds, okay? You can go Runic Echoes, Proto Belt, or Gunblade into Lichbane, Rylai's, and that's a ton of AP burst damage. That one is a little bit more common anyway, I'd say, but it does a huge amount of damage, and it's no fun to play against. The other is an AD version, so Warrior, Duskblade, Titanic Hydra, Iceborne Gauntlet, and Sterix. This one is disgusting. An assassin that is stealth is then going to pop out, burst you, pop you with the Duskblade marker. There's nothing you can do. The reason both AP and AD work for the one-shot builds, by the way, is because her main sources of damage, her Q and E, scale almost identically from both. It's also the reason you could actually go like hybrid. You could go Warrior, Duskblade, Gunblade for some serious one-shot potential. Smite Fizz is actually one I've talked about a little bit before, right? If you remember that. I said the old Devourer is pretty good on him, but two things have changed since then. The new Blood Razor and the new Rage Blade. This is also not really for jungle Fizz, okay? That one's a little bit more obvious. You can do it still works, but the off-meta build is top lane Fizz with Smite and TP. You have your E, your Q, loads of mobility, and I mean, unless you cock it up big time, you won't really need your flash too much. Smite actually gives us a lot compared to other champions, so Bruiser Fizz actually works around his W damage mostly. It has two parts, right? The passive part of it is damage over 3 seconds. It deals a base plus percentage of their missing health. So when you activate it, you deal bonus damage per auto. This means we can actually stack heavy attack speed on him and really abuse this bonus damage. That's kind of what we're aiming for. Anyway, we could play Bruiser Fizz top right anyway, so what's the point of having a Smite? Well, Blood Razor is really awesome. At the moment, they buffed the percentage damage and the attack speed this patch. Plus, we actually get the challenging Smite. That is so good. Like, it reduces damage done by 20% to you, but it also makes them take true damage over 3 seconds from your auto attacks. By the way, 20% damage reduction is actually the same as a Maokai ult, by the way. It's a pretty big deal. We just turn into this unkillable duelist, basically. We can kill anyone 1v1. We can get tanky afterwards to team fight, and it's just so hard to deal with this. After this, we can throw in a Rage Blade, and we do even more damage with our on-hit stuff like the percentage damage. We could get a Wit's End, which would reduce their magic resist, make our W hurt more, give us more attack speed and on-hit, or even a Frozen Mallet would make us so tanky and impossible to escape. This is 100% the worst thing to play against if done properly. You're so slippery, you have so much damage, and there's so much salt from the enemy team. The last one is Singe. This is definitely not meta right now. He's not tanky. He's not really about damage. He's not a carry. He's just really, really irritating. You know what's more annoying though than playing against a Singe? The fact that he's actually not that bad at all right now. He's pretty good. He doesn't fit into this meta at all, but individually, he just kind of like bends over the meta and says, I don't care, I'm going to win anyway. So of course, for this video, being off meta, we're looking at the most fun and I guess kind of as a byproduct, the most irritating way we can play this guy. The core stuff that I had some fun with were Rod of Ages, Rylai, ZZ Rot, Proto Belt, Righteous Glory, and Thornmail. Rod of Ages is kind of the boring side of this. We just need it to start getting kicking in the game. Rylai's poison slows now, so it's impossible to catch you anymore. ZZ Rot is split push heaven. This is where you really take annoying to another level. You just sit top, place that down, and there's nothing they can do. Proto Belt is a bit of a different one. It's really hard to be caught now because you can dash away, but it's easier to catch people as well. You run at them and you dash closer to flip them. It's pretty funny. Righteous Glory is just magical when you see it in action. You ghost, you ultimate, you Righteous Glory, and suddenly you move so fast and there is nothing they can do to avoid being flipped. Thornmail is kind of just like a kick in the balls to AD carries, really. Like, they're already taking damage from your poison to attack you, and then you add even more return damage. I hate to say it, but this actually might be the most viable way to win a game out of all 6 of these. It is fun, it's pretty dumb, but it's very effective. Anyway, that wraps up this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this more like fun style of video, I guess. Thank you again to Pro Guys for editing this. Their stuff is down below. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share, but for now, let's go to the robots.